here on the second half. Thank you, Ben, and well, thank you to Fraser for collecting interviews. We're looking at Valero Sevens, which we're going to talk about very shortly, but still to come, we're going to be hearing from Nicola Coates, who took on the small task of the long course weekend down in Tenby. So we'll hear it from the Tenby ace herself as to what that entailed and how she's feeling today. And later on, we're going to be looking at the cricket with the T20 kicking off today, and the boys are going to have a few words about the tragic death of Adam Musket, who former player of Tenby and Carew football teams. Before we get there, though, I'm going to bring in my esteemed guests here of the Pure Sports Show. Good evening, Gordon.
How are you, Tom?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to be back here on the Pure Sports Show, the Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors. And Fraser, how are you doing?
Very well, Tom. Very well. Looking a lot better than I did this time last week. But that's another story for another show. Probably his own show, actually.
Looking forward to the highlights of that one. Sporting weekend, Gordon, I'll start off with you. What have you been getting up to?
Yes, I did get out on Saturday, Tom, but I got delayed a little bit due to the long course activities. The cycling was going on Saturday. I was heading for Cresselly. I got there. So Cresselly were playing Haverfordwest, and I popped just up the road to the big one. Nayland versus Carew, and Carew had Nayland in trouble at one spell, but we talk about that a bit later.
We'll get onto that in part 3 here this evening. And Fraser, have you been out back on the crease or behind it? What have you been getting up to?
I was indeed with my new toy here, which I'll recommend later again, like Gordon says, when we talk about more cricket. But did get a game in a losing cause, albeit, and then was down to Haverfordwest on Sunday morning for a kids' festival, which was called off when I got there. So that delighted me, of course. But other than that, watched plenty of the Euros, plenty of cricket. So yeah, good sporting weekend.
There's been a lot of football going on. Of course, they're in the last round now of the group stages. Scotland going home with a 100th-minute goal against them, and England refusing to play Cole Palmer. Fraser, does that make sense?
I think there's a major call for him to come in now. But look, the mass hyper reaction has entertained us all from afar here in Wales. Now we don't have to worry about it so much. We've got our own issues to sort out as well. But we'll see how England's result goes tomorrow night, and there'll be a hyper bowl either way. But I would consider bringing Cole Palmer on for some minutes now for sure.
Love that. And Fraser, at that cricket tournament, you managed to catch up with some of the players from the Valero Sevens. Yeah. Gordon, were you much of a Sevens player back in the day, or is it a relatively newer phenomenon? Where does it class for you?
I enjoyed Sevens. I'm sure Fraser did as well. During his day, I played a lot of Sevens back in the day. It was a big thing, and we're going to discuss that a little bit later as well, I believe. So I won't tell you too much about that.
Well, no, we're going to jump straight into rugby. In the middle of the summer. That's what I love about Sevens. It keeps the oval ball knocking around, and also some Rugby Union going on. Second half to forget for Wales. We'll touch on the international side a little bit later on. But evening to Stephen Price, who's joined us on YouTube. We are live on the socials, so get involved in the conversations. Fraser, you caught up with Gareth Skirfield and also Guillaume Tournament of the Player. I was there providing commentary at the Valero Solstice Sevens. There's nothing quite like a Sevens tournament.
No, I actually preferred that format to 15-a-side back in the day. I'm actually quite sorry to see the way it's gone in Pembrokeshire within the last decade or so. Maybe a bit more recently in the decade. That's a little harsh. I think Gordon will be well aware of the Newport Sevens, which was a great day out locally. I think it was a big thing. Certainly when I was growing up in rugby, and I'd say the same for Gordon as well. It was social. They were fun tournaments. It was a fun way of playing. I think the circuit has got so big now, even at amateur level, that it's almost diluted the fun you have a little bit. You've had these almost super teams forming. I know forming Preseli at the Barbars, the Crusaders, things like that, who went away nationally to play in tournaments. And it sort of took away from the local concept of a tournament. So I'm glad to see Valero putting something on, actually. I think it's a great end of season or pre-season thing to do whenever it's time. And there is an art to it as well. There's a skill to playing proper Sevens. It's not a case of just playing 15-a-side with less people. It's worth teaching, and the skills you learn it, which transfer to the 15-a-side game. I think it's become a bit too physical now, especially watching it at senior level. I think that's taken away a lot of the skill that was involved. I think it's more about hitting up and breaking tackles than it is about working overlaps. But that's just the way the modern game's going. But I think there's definitely a place for it, and I hope this tournament's here to stay locally.
Yeah, there's nothing. I went to Swansea University, and the Sevens tournament was always the highlight. And then going down to Bournemouth and taking part in the Bournemouth
Yeah.
Sevens. You mentioned these two rugby clubs, and it brings back great memories of the rugby they can remember. But the after party was also quite a good one as well. Gordon,
Yeah.
what was your experience?
Yeah, it definitely. Going back to my day, I was old enough to play in the Snelling Sevens with Llanelli, and that was a big tournament. Also, locally, I played in for Haverfordwest in the Pembrokeshire County Sevens, which was always a big day as well. Those events have sadly gone. Rugby has changed dramatically as well, and as Fraser said, it's the physicality of the game that's seems to be more the focal point than the skill level that was back in the day. Whether that's right and wrong, but I believe there's always room for sevens. It's great for all your ball skills, handling, tackling, working overlaps, and it's great. It makes you think a different dimension on a rugby pitch as well. And if you've got a better pace, there's no substitute for pace. And once you break that line, there's not many people catch the speedsters once they're gone.
Yeah, once they break through. And I was really pleasantly surprised because, like what you're saying, the physicality, if you can match your opposite number and just bosh them out of the way, try. I was really impressed actually with the matchups on Saturday and the desire for the teams to actually make an overlap and create an overlap, lots of pops off the floor, lots of ball handling, and actually very few handling errors throughout the whole day.
That's good.
It was really impressive when you consider the scale of the teams. You've got Tenby and you've got Pembroke, divisions apart in the 15-a-side game, but everybody giving it a go and not rushing, biding their time, that back step, and you think, oh, they're drifting, but actually they're looking and they're actually formalizing a play in your head. It's a real thinking man's game when it breaks down to it, although it has had its criticisms in the past about, is it mainly a game of luck?
No, I would say not. I mean, I had to learn it. I remember starting out the scrum half, my first Sevens tournament. I was chasing around after my three forwards, whipping the ball off from number 9. It took me a while to realise that you don't do that. That, the nearest person to the breakdown is the number 9. So what shirt they wear in 15-a-side. So yeah, look, it's good to see that there is still people working overlaps and there is still skill involved. Some good sevens coaching, a team coached properly can go a long way. And yes, there's always, of course, physicality. There's always a call for that in rugby at any level. But, I'm a bit of a tradition when it comes to sevens. I like to see the first person in, clear out, the next person whip it away. And sometimes you do step back and you do hold the ball. And Gordon's just talked about his experience in sevens there. I've actually got quite a funny one, which Gordon will laugh at because he'll know the people involved. I played myself at Llanelli RFC in sevens, the Cwmtawi Sevens, which you probably played in as well.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Nat and Trim Sarin. And I was trying to break through at Llanelli. I'd been there a season, hadn't really started. I thought sevens might be my chance to shine. I scored a hat trick in the first game. And in the second game, I never came on. I was dropped by Gren Cole noticed a few Fijians in the army lineup we were playing in the second game. Gordon decided I wasn't physically there to match them up. So that experience sort of told me my time might be coming to an end there, but it's a happy and a pretty negative memory as well.
Yeah, I remember that we played at Aberafon. I was playing with. Yeah, play in the Snellings it was, and we came up against Neath, and lo and behold, who was opposite me was Jonathan Davis.
Right.
And yeah, Jiffy, we've met each other quite a few times, as you're well aware. I told you on many occasions, but it's just great, isn't it? You play against some of the greatest players that are about in sevens as well in Wales. If you managed to play up as you were coming through as well, you would have played against some decent international players.
I should be said, Aberray runs one festival.
One of the funniest moments I ever had was playing for Haverfordwest in Aberayron Sevens. And I was just out of youth, I believe, and we played a international seven. And not many of you, I don't know if you would remember him, but I was playing fly half or out and out, but you moved around in sevens, as you know. I came up against Tony Ward, who was a British Lion. I remember going past him, sidestepping him, and I thought I'd got past him. And lo and behold, I thought he was back in front of me. I thought, how did he do that? It's just so athletic.
Love that.
And he was a terrific fly-off.
Should actually touch on when you talk about international sevens, of course, Jasmine Joyce, first British rugby player to be named in 3 different Olympics.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Confirmed. watched an interview with the other day where she seemed to insinuate that Team GB were rank outsiders compared to her previous two Olympics. There was no pressure on them. I don't
That's
quite
right.
believe that. I don't quite believe that. I
No,
know she's braving that Olympic medal to almost finish off this story. So I don't think she's going on feeling no pressure. I think she's going there desperate to finish in the top three, and so she should. You know, it's been a great Olympic legacy for her. And to finish it off with a medal would top it off, obviously.
That would be fantastic. Wish her all the best with that as well.
Yeah, definitely wishing all the best from all here at Purist Radio. Olympics just around the corner, actually. We'll be dedicating a show to that very shortly. There seems to be more and more Pembrokeshire and Welsh representatives getting out there. Matt Bush, along with Jasmine Joyce, another Pembrokeshire interest being called up as well.
Although, one unfortunate development from Pembrokeshire point of view is Ben Llewellyn has not been named.
Oh dear. I didn't realise that. Talented.
Speaking to him this week, despite performing well all year, unfortunately they haven't given
that just shows the standard that you have to attain, because he's been at the top of his shooting for a long time, and not to be named, he must be truly gutted. I feel for Ben there.
Only saying he's young enough, he has got 4 more years, but
yes.
But anyway, we're talking about sevens. One person won't be playing sevens or 15s anytime soon for Wales is Sam Parry. Gorgeous Prendergast boy. You know what you've got to get up to on camp. What's going on here, man?
I can say, Prendergast, it can be a heat of the moment sometimes, Fraser, No, I don't know. There's always two sides to every story. Sam is 31 now. Perhaps he does feel as though Gatland hasn't given him a fair crack. I don't know whether it was the right thing for him to actually leave camp, because Gatland is actually claiming that Sam didn't speak to him. Had he spoke to him, they could have ironed things out, and he's still in his plans. Whether that's a coach ploy talking to the media, that I don't know. But on a personal note, Sam has done brilliantly with the Ospreys. He deserves his international recognition. I do feel desperately disappointed that he didn't get more caps, because I think he deserved it. But we're not in the training camps. We don't know what's going on. So, he's a brave man to have done it, to be fair to him. It's ended his international career, probably, mate. I can't see no way back after that.
Which is a shame, because he took advantage of the injury to Ken Owens under Pivac, and he became the try scorer off the back of those attacking lineouts and scrums and mauls and whatnot. He became the target man, but he's never fallen in.
Interesting point. You probably know better than me, Fraser, because I don't keep abreast of it. Has he ever started under Gatland? Because I think his first cap was under Pivac.
Not sure he has, now you mentioned.
He played against France when Pivac was in charge. That was his first cap. And I tell you who played the first game then was Rhys Sammet. It was his first game. Correct. They both were, and what different paths they've gone on, haven't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I mean, it seems a shame he has to stay so patient, didn't he, for such a long time, such an underrated performer at regional level for the Ospreys.
And to be honest with you, he was actually in the Welsh squad before Rob Evans actually got into the Welsh squad. Yeah. He was named that far back. So he came from the under-20s, basically straight into the international squad, but never got picked for the Six Nations or the tour matches. He was always put aside. I mean, it's a shame. It is a shame.
It's an unsavoury incident, but I think in this Gatland era, a lot more from behind the scenes is soon to come out. I think there's so much going on within WRU circles.
Yes.
It's a pretty dire situation right now.
Did you catch the match at Twickenham, the home match, Wales v South Africa, and whatever happened in the second half?
I actually didn't know. I was aware it was only 14-13 half time. I was surprised that, but I did catch up with it later on. I think it was a lot more one-sided, maybe that half-time scoreline suggested. And South Africa pulled away second half, to be honest.
Well, they scored 5 tries, was it? Was it 5 tries? They are the world champions. They got a lot of strength and depth. Wales are going through a difficult transitional stage again. It's no big surprise, really, but Gatland is obviously building for the future.
For the future? What is the next thing they're playing for? No,
they're playing Australia, aren't they?
They go to Australia.
A nice, easy tour to Australia, Tom.
Who brought out Curtly Beale, talking of Sam Parry at 31, a 35-year-old's now back in the Australia squad.
Well, there you go. Age is just a number, Tom.
There's still time for Sam to come back, but that would have to be a pretty big apology, I imagine, for Gatland. We're going to change tack now. You mentioned that you got held up over the weekend because of the long course weekend.
Yes, I did.
Fraser, have you ever taken part in any runs on the long course or considered it?
I actually haven't. I did look at doing the I think it's called the Wales 10K this Sunday, but by the time I got around to it, it was actually sold out, which just shows the popularity of the event. You've got to book well in advance. But yeah, Nicola, who I don't know if Nicola actually competed herself through injury, but is heavily involved, is one of the leaders of the Tenby Aces, and is going to come on now and tell us how they did that group pad. Well, I think when it comes to Tenby Aces long course weekend, with the last one out, please turn out the lights, isn't it? They're all on there on mass.
Yeah.
So many others locally as well.
Yeah, well, we're going to take a moment. Nicola is waiting in the wings here on the Pure Sports with Eaton-Evans and Morris. Let us know if you know anyone that took part. You can call or WhatsApp on 01437 764455. Drop us a message on the PWR app. Email studio@purestradio.com, or we are live on our social media, so you can drop us a message direct. We're going to take a moment. We'll be back with Nicola Coates from Tenby Aces reviewing the long course weekend next on the Pure Sports Show with Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors.
Eaton-Evans and Morris Solicitors have traditional values, but they have a very modern approach to solving